There are soil revival tricks so old and simple that, honestly, modern gardening often forgets them. Imagine a liquid that can turn lifeless dirt into living soil in just 1 week. A brew that smells unpleasant but, works like magic underground, stirring microbes awake and calling earthworms back into action. This isn't a fancy commercial product or some chemical solution. It is something far more natural and rooted in tradition. Rotten leaf tea. For centuries, farmers and gardeners have understood the hidden power of fallen leaves. When soaked and allowed to rot in water, they transform into a dark, nutrient-rich liquid that feeds life below the surface. This ancient technique, which is often overlooked in today's rush towards store-bought fertilizers, offers one of the fastest ways to restore tired soil. So in the next few minutes you'll see how and why this strange fermented leaf brew works, how to make it yourself, and how it can transform your soil in just 7 days. Why do rotten leaves hold the secret? Well, leaves are nature's original compost. Each season trees shed millions of them, and on forest floors they slowly break down to form humus, the richest layer of soil. But when those same leaves are fermented in water, something very different happens. The rotting process speeds up, and instead of taking months, the nutrients and compounds dissolve into liquid form within days or weeks. This liquid is not just leaf juice, it is a living brew. As the leaves rot, bacteria and fungi multiply rapidly, feeding on the sugars, tannins, and cellulose within the material. These microbes are exactly what dead or compacted soils lack. When you pour rotten leaf tea into the ground, you are not just adding nutrients, you are reintroducing life. Another secret lies in the smell. The strong, earthy odor of this tea is a sign of active fermentation. Earthworms are drawn to these scents, sensing food and microbial activity. Within days of application, worms return to soil that once seemed barren. Their burrowing further loosens the structure, creating channels for air and water, while their castings enrich the ground. This is why rotten leaf tea works so quickly. It jumpstarts an entire cycle of soil revival in a single week. The science of fermentation and soil revival. When leaves break down naturally, the process is driven by microbes breaking cellulose and lignin into simpler compounds. In water, this process intensifies. So, the fermentation releases humic and fulvic acids. These are really powerful compounds that actually improve soil structure and, increase nutrient absorption by plants. These acids work kind of like natural chelators, binding minerals into forms that plants can easily take up. Rotten leaf tea also contains soluble nitrogen, potassium, and trace minerals that, leach out from the leaf tissue. While these nutrients aren't as concentrated as what you'd find in chemical fertilizers, their availability in liquid form makes them immediately useful to soil microbes and plant roots. But more importantly, this tea doesn't just feed plants directly, it actually creates the right conditions for microbes to multiply. And once microbes thrive, they keep unlocking nutrients already trapped in the soil, making this whole process a self-sustaining cycle. Modern science is only now catching up to what ancient gardeners knew instinctively, that fermented organic brews reawaken life in the soil. What's remarkable is that this doesn't take months or years. A single application can bring visible results within a week. How to make rotten leaf tea. The process of creating this brew is deceptively simple, though it requires patience and, a bit of tolerance for strong smells. So to get started, you'll need a container, a bucket, a barrel, or even an old drum. Honestly, any of these will do just fine. Go ahead and fill it about halfway with dry or fresh fallen leaves. It's best if you can use a mix of tree leaves rather than just sticking with one type because, that diversity really adds a wider range of nutrients. Next up, you'll want to fill the container with water. If you can, use rainwater, since it doesn't have the chlorine that's usually found in tap water, which, by the way, can actually slow down microbial growth. Make sure the leaves are fully submerged. Sometimes you might need to weigh them down with a rock or a stick to keep them under the water. Now, loosely cover the container to keep insects out, but still allow some air to get in because, fermentation needs oxygen to happen. At this point, it's mostly a waiting game. Within a few days, you'll notice the water darkening and, yeah, a strong odor will develop. That's actually a good sign, showing that active fermentation is underway. Give the mixture a stir every few days to help aerate it, which really encourages those beneficial microbes to thrive. After about 2 to 4 weeks, your tea should be ready. It ought to be a deep brown, almost black liquid just packed with microbial life. This concentrate is really strong, so make sure to dilute it before you use it. Mix 1 part rotten leaf tea with 10 parts water, then go ahead and apply it directly to the soil, or use it as a drench around your plants. Within about a week of application, you'll notice the soil starts to soften, worms begin to show up, and honestly, plant growth just responds with some new vigor. What makes this method so powerful is not just the nutrients in the tea, but really, it's the speed of microbial activation. Dead soils often look dry, compacted, and kind of crusted over, with not much sign of worms or fungal threads at all. After applying fermented leaf tea, this surface begins to change. The soil loosens, fungal strands reappear, and worm castings often dot the top within a week. Plants too show a rapid response. Their leaves take on a deeper green as nutrient absorption improves. Young seedlings push faster, while established crops regain strength after appearing stalled. For gardeners struggling with slow or poor soil, the difference can feel dramatic, almost as if the ground itself has awakened. Worms, the silent allies in our gardens. A major reason rotten leaf tea works so well is its ability to summon these helpful creatures. You see, earthworms are naturally attracted to decaying organic matter, and the microbial activity of fermented leaves signals a feast for them. Now, worms don't just consume the residue, they digest it and return it as castings, which are among the richest natural fertilizers you can find. Worm burrows also act as irrigation channels, carrying water deeper into the ground. For clay or compacted soils, this is truly transformative. Within days of applying the tea, gardeners often notice worm activity where previously the soil seemed lifeless. In this way, rotten leaf tea not only restores microbial balance but also invites back the very creatures that keep soil fertile in the long run. The ancient roots of leaf brews. The idea of steeping organic matter in water to create plant tonics is far older than modern gardening. Records from Asia, Europe, and Africa describe farmers using fermented plant teas to boost soil fertility centuries ago. It's fascinating how these age-old practices continue to benefit us today. Leaves were abundant, free, and endlessly renewable, making them an obvious choice. These brews were often part of larger cycles of soil care alongside composting and animal manures. What made them unique was their speed. While compost piles matured over months, fermented teas provided a near-instant shot of microbial energy. For subsistence farmers depending on quick results, this practice was a lifeline. Today, many gardeners overlook it, chasing expensive bottled fertilizers. But the wisdom of the past reminds us that the most effective solutions are often the simplest and most natural. So, closing reflections. Rotten leaf tea may not be glamorous. It smells unpleasant, it looks uninviting, and honestly, it takes a good bit of patience to prepare. Yet its power lies in its simplicity. In just 7 days it can transform soil from lifeless to living, calling back microbes and worms, softening hard ground and feeding plants in ways no synthetic fertilizer can match. In reviving this ancient practice, modern gardeners gain not only healthier soil but also independence from commercial products. A pile of fallen leaves, a barrel of water, and a little time are all it takes to brew life itself. If this guide has inspired you to experiment with your own rotten leaf tea, just imagine the possibilities it holds for your soil this season. Share this knowledge with fellow gardeners, and hey, don't forget to subscribe to Hydrohaven for more time-tested methods and soil secrets that keep your garden thriving. Together, we can rediscover the forgotten practices that still hold the power to bring soil back to life.